everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing my day 19 artist trading card. I had so much fun the other day making a little artist trading card doll that I decided to make another one for June 19th, which is a new federal holiday called Juneteenth, National Independence Day. And that started in 2021 for the federal holiday. However, the state of Texas was the first one to add this holiday, and they did it in 1980. So it's taken this long to um, to have every state and all the nations celebrate what is basically African American Independence Day. And I'm not African American. I don't want to make anyone mad, but I do want to acknowledge and celebrate the waking up of some stupid people back in 1863. Abraham Lincoln, he declared that all people were free, that there was no more slavery in the United States. And that was a very enlightened thing for him to do at the time. It took until 1865 for every state to figure this out. However, it took 2 years, and some Union soldiers made it to Galveston, Texas, and then they declared it there, and that was all the states. I learned about this recently on The Strangest Thing. It is a food show. They were in Houston, Texas for Top Chef this season, and I love to watch that show. I like to see all the crazy food that they make and all the judging and the challenges. And they had a challenge where they went to a old church that's being restored in Galveston, Texas, and they created soul food for the crowd based on their family heritage. So not everyone on the show was African American. There was some Mexican people. There was a guy from Australia. And so what soul food means to different people, bringing in your own heritage, that's what the challenge was about, is really interesting to see what they came up with. So what I'm doing here, this prompt, by the way, the surface prompt today was a playing card. And that, if you have an old set of playing cards, like for instance, this one that I'm using is from Vegas, they deal cards in Vegas and then they have to get rid of them. So that there's no card marking or cheating. And they drill a hole in the whole deck and then they sell them to tourists. So I have an old deck that, I mean, we've had it for, I don't know, 30, 40 years probably. And they are the right size. Just like I've always been saying, a baseball card, a playing card, a Yu-Gi-Oh card. These are the right size for ATCs. So it's a good surface. It's thick. It's sturdy. It's a good surface to make an artist trading card on. If you happen to have some old cards that you don't need. Maybe you've got a deck that doesn't have all its cards anymore. So that's what I'm making this on. And I'm using some collage, using some collage papers I got from Soul Rain Academy. The woman there, Rachel, she teaches a class about, I think it's been a long time since I took the class, but I think it's about gel printing, but it's inspired by African mud cloth because she's, researching her heritage. And so these patterned papers, I really like the blue ones, but the card that I had was red, and so I decided to use the red and yellow and green and brown ones that are in this set. So you can get these collage papers from her, soulrainacademy.com. You can take a class. It's only $5 to take the class. And then you'll get these papers that you can use in your own art. And they're beautiful. The marks on them are beautiful. I love the primitive nature of the marks on these. So I decided to use her papers and then We also do have a mood board, and one of the pictures on the mood board is a beautiful woman wearing a duku, which is like a head wrap, and different different tribes in Africa wear them different ways. And basically, what I learned when I was reading about it, I have a cousin who's living now in Africa. She's living in Senegal, and so she took her two kids and her husband and herself, and they moved there to help out his family, which I guess his mom is feeling poorly and his sister is getting really exhausted from taking care of her. So they all went over there and moved to Africa, which for a girl, red-haired, freckled girl from Idaho, that was probably a pretty big deal. But I've been interested in what she's been doing there. The place she lives is beautiful. They go to the beach all the time. So lucky. I mean, they have like mango and papaya trees on their property. I mean, it's really awesome. I would like to live where she's living right now. But I, she started wearing um, clothing, African clothing, and she sometimes wears a head wrap. So I was interested in what it means, and the way you tie it makes a difference. It's supposed to represent a crown. It's supposed to be tied high up on your head, um, so that it comes up like a crown, and then you usually wear large jewelry with it, according to the stuff I read. I mean, this is all hearsay. I don't know exactly. I can only do my research and ask my cousin and what she knows about it. But anyway, I thought that the picture that I chose for our art drive sharing mood board was that duku she was wearing is just beautiful, beautiful woman. And so I wanted to have my ATC doll have a wrap like that. So I used the same fabric prints that I had from Rachel at soulrainacademy.com, and I made it into a wrap as well on her head. So this is really fun. I love making art dolls, and I just kind of forgotten that I really love making art dolls. I haven't made one in a long time. And, we're talking about artist trading cards, right? We're talking about them being 3.5 by 2.5. And some people who you might swap with or something, really particular about that. And I do want to caution you about that. But if you have an attachment that can fold down, like for instance, these heads on these dolls can fold down because I put them on a mini brad, then it still will fit into a ATC pocket. It won't look as cute with the head folded down, but then if you take it out, you can fold it back up and look at it's a little doll. Really fun. I mean, I had fun making the one I made the other day, and I thought I would make another one. So these take a little bit longer. There's the creation of this extra piece and the painting of the face, which to me takes a long time because I use a lot of different colors. If you would just color with markers or something, it could probably be really quick. But this time I used acrylic paint, and last time I used crayons. I like to use those Neocolor 2 water soluble crayons to do faces usually. This time I picked some DecoArt fluid media paint in burnt sienna, raw umber, quinacridone gold, some Titan buff, and I think I ended up using some dialoride yellow and some pyrrole red. The reason I picked the pyrrole red is because it's the same color as the prints. Pretty sure she probably used pyrrole red, although I don't remember. She brought out that class in printable pages a few years ago, probably maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So it's been a long time since I watched this stuff. But I just used a very small brush, and I have a paper palette here. This is like a shiny, waxy paper that you can use as a palette. It comes in a tablet. And I mixed my colors as I was going on the paper with my teeny tiny little round brush, because this little face is probably at the most an inch squared, maybe. I don't know, it's not very big. So you just have to go and work on it, blend the colors. There's not a whole lot of blending space. What I used for the base of the head, watercolor paper, that's 300-pound weight. So it gives, extra stiffness to this so that it doesn't get all crumpled and bent. Can't use like a text weight paper or something like that. A heavy, like a Bristol, a heavy Bristol card or watercolor paper, something like that. And then I did put collage paper on the back of this piece, but I didn't put it on the back of the card because I wanted to leave it a playing card. So the other side is that red pattern from the back of the playing card. So I hope that you guys are playing along with our artist trading card a day in June. Of course, June 19th is also Father's Day in the United States. I'm not sure if it is any other places. And usually I would do something with that, but I was really interested in this new national holiday and what it means. Oh, I guess I didn't mention how it's celebrated is religious ceremony prayers, maybe like some historical lecture, something like that might be there. Then also just like a celebration, like a picnic or a barbecue. Maybe there are some festivals that go on that have music and dancing. So it's just a big celebration of independence. The other thing that was interesting to me had never thought about, but now thought about when I was watching Top Chef, is that once the people who were enslaved were freed, they didn't have a place to live or a job because they were living, you know, with the people who were enslaving them and they were working for them. So those people didn't turn around and say, oh, you're free. Oh, by the way, here's a job and here's a place to live. We'll pay you a wage now. No, they didn't do that. They should have done that, but they didn't. So there ended up being, like in the case of Houston, the place where they did the challenge, was like a little town of freed slaves. And there was apparently a pastor there, and they just kind of formed a community in which to support each other and, for everyone to have ability to live and to work and to go to church and all those things. They formed a community there in Houston, which is now kind of run down, but they're building it back up and restoring things for historical purposes so that people can go there as a tourist and learn about the whole situation and see the places, visit the places. So that's kind of cool. And I never really thought about that because, I mean, history to me is like the past. We've got our own problems now, a lot of problems now to think about. So it's always a good idea to think about what happened in the past and the mistakes that were made. Try not to make them again. That's, I think, what we all strive for. So, yeah, it's interesting to learn and to understand what happened in the past and how things played out, so that we know, we should know. And when I was younger, I never cared about history at all. In fact, I hated history. Whereas my youngest son is obsessed with history. He loves to learn about everything that happened in the past. He knows the historical maps. He understands different groups of people from all over the world. And when he started being interested in it, I started being interested in it, and now I'm more interested in it than I ever was. So that's just kind of how it goes. Your children teach you big lessons. They do. So as far as making this, I don't think that there's a whole lot for me to talk about, so I've mostly just talked about the meaning of it. To attach the head, you just use a teeny tiny punch and a little tiny paper fastener, which is called a mini brad. The one I use on this one is red because there was the red colors, and it kind of adds a little bit of a jewelry right there to her, the center of her throat there. And then that piece can bend down and bend back up. It's free moving. It doesn't move on its own, but it can move. So I added some words, and they say the most noble daughter, which I thought was appropriate. The stickers from Tim Holtz. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe to my channel. Turn on your notification bells. Join my channel membership. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.